Hi guys, I'm back again. Right, today we are going to do a bit of balayage and we're also going to do a bit of reverse balayage, and I'll explain that to you when I get to it. So Sally, as you know, was in yesterday, so she had got her money piece done, so now she's decided she wants more blonde through the rest. So ideally this isn't the best head for doing balayage because I don't have a great deal of length. But what I'm going to do is put it through the sides, put it through the top, but I'm going to leave the back out here because the reason I'm leaving the back out here is because I'm going to razor cut that in really short later, okay? So I don't really want to have dots on that because if I put highlights or free lights in here, then when I cut that it would look stripy. Okay, so I've done the sections, I've sectioned off the money piece at the front and I've sectioned it into two diagonal sections, if you can see that. Okay, now remember when you're doing a balayage, everything goes in an angle. If you go in a straight line, you will create a line. If you go in an angle, it'll create a blend. So if she's pushing it back, you'll see the colour, and if she's pushing it forward, you'll see the colour. Always make sure that you saturate the products. I know I was telling you about that yesterday, but saturate products. What we're going to be working with today is free lights, blonde or free lights, and 12% developer. And we're going to use Colour Touch 1.9 with a 671 Colour Touch. I'll explain to you why I'm using the 671 when I come to it, okay? So first and foremost, I've mixed up my 1 to 1.5 formula of my free lights. I've got a paddle here, I've got foil, and I've got colour wraps. So today I'm going to use colour wraps to let you have a wee look at them, and I'm going to use some foil, possibly foil through the front, might not need to, but sometimes I like using foil because I can fold that right up at the front and get out a client's eyes. So your colour wraps are great. They feel weird, they feel like kind of Becky paper come rubber. Weird, right? But they're really good and they stick, they're great for balayage. As for doing highlights, would I do highlights with them? No, I don't like them for highlights. Love them for freehand work, they're great, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start and we're working from side to side, okay, to create the balance. Now there's a couple of ways I can do this, so I'm going to show you one way and I'll show you another way, okay? So when I'm doing it, I take quite a big section because I don't want it looking like highlights, okay? So when I take my section, again, everything when you're doing freehand or balayage or any kind of work that you don't want any lines in, anything you want seamless, you've got to backcomb the roots. Depending on the amount of blend you want, depending on how much you backcomb it. So with this, I'm going to backcomb quite a good wee bit in here. Now this isn't the best comb, but I'll try my best, and I'm going to push this right in because I don't want too much product up here, but I still want some product around the face. I've got my money piece there, so normally I'd be painting colour there, but because I've got my money piece there, I'm not going to bother paint as much colour through here. Okay, so in an angle, I'm going to put my Colour Touch out the road just now, and I'm going to be using my colour wraps and my free lights bleach. Free lights is brilliant. Now remember with free lights, you don't actually really need to put any wraps on them, but sometimes I quite like it. Just a wee tiny bit. I don't need to put a great deal on. And if I don't want to put any on, I don't have to put any on, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my section and I'm going to bring it round as if I'm bringing it round towards her chin. If you look at the angle of my fingers. I'm going to start off painting from the outside, okay? Now I'm taking it in the tip of my brush and I'm painting from the outside, okay? So I'm painting quite a thick layer down here, okay? And then I'm going to paint another thick layer down the other side, okay? Now the secret to doing this is making sure that every section is not the same. If it's the same, it will look liney. So there'll be some you'll put up further than others. So say like with this one here, I could put one in the middle here and push it up a tiny wee bit, and that will give me more colour saturated through this front area. Now when I come to the bottom part, saturate colour. Remember I told you yesterday, you have got to saturate colour when you're doing any statement, bold colour. So I'm saturating it. Right, so see if you look there, you can see that there's a block there. Again, remember what I told you about your dry brush. Get your dry brush and push it right into the back combing, okay? So that I've got a blend here. Right, it's right in the back combing. But see here, I've got loads and loads of product, okay? Always make sure that you blend with your fingers or blend with your brush. It's up to you, you can blend with both, okay? Okay, so I'm going to leave that down. Again, make sure that you've got a towel beside you or anything like a paper towel just to dry your hands in between, because you don't want the colour transferring. Know that it shouldn't really transfer, but what you don't want to do is touch the root area or anything with this. Okay, so I'm going to my next section here. Remember, I'm leaving this bottom part out because this is getting cut off. But look, I'm taking big sections. I'm not taking small sections. It's dead quick, dead easy, and really effective. Some people are scared of balayage, and I don't know why you're scared of it, because it's actually quite simple, and it's very, you can personalise it to every single client. So I'm doing here, so I'm going right up here with my V, right? So I'm getting in here, I'm painting quite heavy with my V here, okay? So I'm painting here with my V. If you can see that okay. Can you see that okay? I'll turn it around here and touch. Hopefully you can see it all right. So I'm painting this on, and I'm painting this on quite thick, okay? But I'm not putting any up that middle, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to saturate from the middle here. I don't want anything up any higher than that apart from my blend, okay? So look how I'm saturating, and I even go underneath some of the bits to make sure I'm saturating this right through. See my line there, right? Can you see my line? And now I'm just going to blend that line. Do you see how easy that's blending in? Can you see it? Okay. And make sure you've got plenty on that bottom. Again, wee paper towel. Just make sure it's there to dry your hands. Okay. Now, I just want to show you, you don't need to use colour wraps, but I'll just show you how easy they are to work, right? You can split them. You can put one just sitting underneath here, okay? And you can just sit one on top of it, and it just keeps the heat in a wee bit on it. Dead simple. The good thing about them is you can cut them at any size. I'm no fussed with them, I just rip them and just make sure. It's just basically to keep them off of somebody's face and to keep a little bit of heat in them. Okay, you can fold them as well if you want. That one's not very great actually. I'll put a better one than that one. That doesn't look too nice, that one. So I'll just take that down to the end here. And I'll just rip it off at the bottom. Again, these are very light. So they're great. What they don't do is pull down the rest of your hair like foils do. So they're really light and they're really flexible. They're great to work with. So now I'm going to go for the other side. Okay, so here I am here. Took my sections again. But look at the thickness of my sections. I don't want millions of colour underneath the dark, underneath here at the front of the hair. I don't want loads of it. I just want it kind of subtle coming through. Now balayage was originally created to give people a sun-kissed look, and then it got to the stage that people were wanting it bleached to a frazzle white at the bottom and grey toners. It wasn't made for that. It was made to highlight your own colour and to give you a sun-kissed look where the sun got your hair and about the front of your face. So the majority of the balayage should be done around your face. Again, it's a bit of contouring for the face. So a lot of people, really the maintenance of blonde hair can be really tough for a lot of people. So a lot of people, balayage is fantastic for, because the maintenance is low. So if, or for sake, they want to be blonde, but they just cannot keep it up. So the good thing is you can put loads of blonde through the front and they're getting the feeling of their hair being light through the front, but then they've got their dark through the rest of their hair, so they don't have to keep coming to the salon getting their roots done constantly. Right, so you see how I'm painting this into a V? Okay. Quite heavy. Right, so watch how much I'm saturating here. I'm putting loads on, because remember it's a thick section. Right? So I'm going to go underneath, because I want a wee bit underneath here, but I don't want a great deal underneath it. Right? So remember my dry brush, and I'm pushing it. Do you see that? How that goes in? See if I'm pushing it into the back combing? I'm pushing that right up, but do you notice no two sections I'm doing are the same? Right? But I really want loads and loads of colour here, so I'm saturating and saturating and saturating the colour and blending it in with my fingers. Okay? Okay, so okay, my next part, exact same again. Don't want that bottom part in. So back combing it in. Sides a wee bit finer and shorter here. Okay, exact same again. Paint on a V, but you can start your V lower. You can start your V wherever you want. I tend to put it up a wee bit higher, but I don't put it up too high unless it's around about the front area. But I still like having my V, because I think the V always gives it a really, really nice shape. I'm sorry about the haircut in this, I don't know who done it, but I'm not taking the blame for it anyway, can I assure you. Okay, so again, plenty of colour on. Hands, honestly I can't say this enough, hands cleaned in between every single section. So I'm going to wear with my wee colour wraps again, so I want a wee couple of them, I can get them off. Also as well, colour wraps are great if you just want to basically split it like that, if you want to put another colour on top of it, but we'll do that another time, okay? So I've got my colour wrap, see how it sticks? I'm just putting my other wee colour wrap on top of it, okay? And just take off the bottom that I don't need. There's no point in keeping foils that's too long, because they'll just weigh it down, okay? This wee bit's a wee bit short, so that can go in there. That's just a wee perfect size with that wee mistake one I made earlier. Great wee size. And I'll put that on top of it, okay? And I just continue to do this for the next couple of sections, okay? You're looking lovely, Sally. Right, so we're going back again. I've got my sections in, right? So my sections are already in. I'm going to put that actually that side because there's a wee bit shorter pieces here. So again, I'm angling, but remember I'm not going right down to the bottom here because I'm cutting it off. Okay, so I'm only going down into a V. But see if you look at my sectioning, right? See if you look here. If you look here, it's narrower, but it's going down really thicker there. Because if you think about people, the front of people's hair, it's finer and it's narrower here. So you would never take it chunky here. So you take it narrow, going into chunky. Because remember, it's soft, going into bold at the bottom. Okay? There's a couple of different ways you can do it. So I'm going to just show you another way. Okay? So we'll just have a wee play about today. So I'm going to back comb, remember, back comb, back comb. You can never have enough back combing in this. Okay? So now I can use my Wella paddle. Again, if you want to use it that way. I still like to freehand paint my V. I think it's just a personal thing. But again, that's up to you. You don't have to do that. There's different ways of doing things as long as you get the same result. Everybody you'll find your own way of doing it. I like I like painting the freehand on. I just think it's quite personalised. You can put it wherever you want. And remember, I've told you before, always give a client something that she can't do herself. Because see if she can do it herself, you've lost your client. And never tell them your formulas. Remember, I've told you that as well. There's our secrets. Share my formulas with you, but I'll certainly not share them with a client. Okay, so I'm on my paddle. Okay, and I'm pushing it right down my paddle here. Pushing it right down my paddle. I'm still not worrying about that line part there just now. So I'm going under it again, holding it up, and I'm saturating. See it? Pushing it right through. Okay, saturating it, back up, and then see here, I'm just taking my dry brush again, and I'm just pushing that against my back combing. If I push it against my back combing, I'm still getting a bit up at my root, but I'm not getting a great deal of colour up at my root. Okay? I don't need to worry about putting a wrap over that part, because I'll put it over the top, because that one underneath it has got it. Again, I don't need to use my wraps. I just wanted to show you that you can use wraps if you're needing a wee bit of extra heat. Now remember the Balayage, I'm using Balayage with 12%, and there's one of the groups, excuse Hugo, there's one of the groups, I think it was 2B I've done the free lights with, 2A I've not, because we're basically just into lockdown. So can you see what I'm doing here? So the free lights I'm using, the free lights, I just love free lights, absolutely love it. I think it's been a great invention, okay? So free lights will give you lift. It probably give you up to 5 levels of lift, around 5 levels of lift. On this doll's head, you're not going to get a mega lift, you're not going to get a lift that you would get on a client's hair, but you will get a lift. Now, the good things about free lights is it's very, very flexible, which means I can manipulate that and put it wherever I want to put it. Very, very flexible. The other good thing about it is the developer that you use, remember you always have to use free lights developer, right? It's got to do its own developer. If the technology of this is in the developer, so you've got to use its own developer. So what you do here is you mix it with your developer, you put it on, the formula in here is basically allowing you to let it lie on anybody's hair, and it will not colour the rest of the hair. So the formula is like a bond, it's like a silicone that sits on top of it. It's like, if you think about it, it's like a big outer layer of colour that's sitting on top of it, so it's protecting it, but it's working away inside, okay? So you can use this free lights developer. I use 12% because I want maximum lift with it. I wouldn't use 12% with any bleach apart from free lights or magma. Now you can use this, the girls up there, you've all used magma. You can use this free lights developer with magma to do freehand work, and you don't have to put it in foils. So anything that's freehand, you do not have to put it in foils if you're using this. I'm only putting these on to show you a different use for them. I don't need to put them on, I could have just painted that and left it. But I wanted to show you me using them so that you can have a wee play with them as well. Okay? They don't look as nice and as neat as foils do, but they're absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I'm now going on to my next section, wherever you are, section. Overlap that in, here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to take my section up here and get back to my angles. Again, this bottom part, I ain't touching it. And what I'm going to do is, I think I'll maybe do one more section and then I'll do some freehand painting on it to show you that as well. Okay, so back again. Again, your paddle's a personal choice. I quite like my paddle for doing the bottom part, but I like my freehand painting. Okay, so when we've done this, once I've done all these sections, I'm going to go into a bit of reverse balayage. And what I mean with that is, it's hair that's too light. They still want a balayage look, but they want some dark put through it, okay? So I'll show you how to do that when I come to it. You see how I'm separating that and I'm pressing that right in, okay? Pressing it right in, I'm putting tons of colour. I'm not putting any colour near the root area. I've got an audience, by the way. Okay, so I'm pushing this up. Do you see how I'm pushing that up? I'm pushing it against the back combing. I hope you can see this okay. Right, so I'm pushing it against the back combing, but I can also blend it with my fingers as well. Okay, I can blend it up with my fingers, but I make sure that's saturated and it's lying on top of that. Again, cleaning my hands in between every section. Okay. Okay, so we'll do the last section in this wee bit here. Again, I don't want anything through this back section. Now I'm taking really chunky sections here, so obviously you can put more colour in if you want, if you're doing it depending on the thickness of your client's hair, depending on what she's actually wanting, you can tailor this. Okay, now this is probably one of my favourite things to do. I love doing this. And then I'm going to put another colour in it later, but I've got a wee selection here I'll let you see when I get this on. Okay, so I'm pushing it up. See the blend? I'll pull that down, okay? You can never do enough blending with this. Just going to put that on top of that. And I'll push that on top of that. Okay, that's good. Get more tissues. Again, other side. Taking quite a chunky section again. What I'm going to do here is, let's see here, put one more in, take that off. See, that's a good thing about them, you can just pull them off if they're in your road. Can you do that with foil? If you do that with foil, then you've got a disaster in your hands. So I'm back pulling it in again. Okay, freehand painting, get in quite thick through here. Okay, get in quite thick through here. I'm going to just push one up in the middle, push it down, push it up, saturate. Remember what I was telling you yesterday, press. Make sure you press colour in. Always press, 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 press. Okay, press. The good thing about this is again it's flexible, which means it's easy and it's pliable to use. Whereas a lot of bleaches feel a bit like an exfoliator when they're on. They're great for some reasons, but for some services, but certainly not for this. This is really flexible. See, when I mean flexible, look, I can move it about. It feels soft, it feels like a tint. It doesn't actually feel like bleach. And the condition on this is brilliant as well. When you do it, there's really, really good condition on it. Okay, right. Again, I look at it as I'm going along. I might put another one in, I might not. I might just go into freehand painting. Again, keep trying to tell you, there's no rules with this. No rules at all. You can put as much or as little. You can put your placement wherever you want, as long as it's in an angle. What you don't want is lines. Lines, lines, lines are a disaster. A lot of times I see people doing balayage and they get great results with it, and I don't know how they do it because there's no way I could do it this way. What they do is they put the dark on on the root area, then they put the bleach on. I never get good results like that. And I think the reason being is, I really don't think you should be putting bleach and tint and merging it in together. They seem to do that. You get chemical reactions and things happen, I don't like it. So if somebody was dark and wanted a balayage, I would tend to do my blondes first, because I'm going to tone it anyway. I need to tone it. So I'd do my blonde first. Then at the end, when my blonde was washed off, I'd put my dark root on and my toner at the same time, and then I can get a right seamless blend in that. Okay, right, so let me have a wee look. A lot of times as well, I do baby lights through the top. Again, it depends on what I'm actually looking for. What I think I'll maybe do here is, I think I'll maybe go through this and I'll just paint some light wee, some wee lights just through the top, okay? So what I'll do is I'll take a section right through here again, and I'll take it in a kind of horseshoe section, okay, right through. Let me have a wee look. So it's like a horseshoe come kind of diamond section, if you want to call it that. And I think what I'll do is singles, because I've not done that with you yet. I'll show you that as well. It's a great wee technique. It's dead easy, and it's really, really good. Right, so what I'm doing here is, I'm just putting a section, so I put it like a kind of diamond shape. You see that? Okay. So what I'm doing here is, I'm taking my section, so I'm going to take my section from the top, you can see that, okay. Again, I'm going to rip that off in my road. So, see if you look what I'm doing here, right? I'm going in here and I'm going into a zigzag. So I'm going in here a zigzag. Okay, see my zigzag? Can you see that? I don't know if you can actually see that for you. Now I've done a zigzag pattern, okay? So I'm pinning the rest of this away. So see in my zigzag here, I'm taking the point off all my zigzags, okay? So there's one point, and I'm painting it on. Again, I'm just painting the mid-length, but I'm just merging it into the root, okay? Then I'm taking my next section, but I can take 3 at one time if I want, because I can take my 3, see, my 3 zigzags. Start again at my mid-lengths. Never ever start at a root area. And I'm just painting this on freehand. I don't know how I didn't like art at school, because I see all this, I just love it. See that? I couldn't draw. That's probably how I didn't like art at school. Well, anyways, I've seen my drawings, so I don't need to explain that. Okay, so see how that's just lying there nice and soft? Don't need to bother. I'm going to just do another wee zigzag through this, the back here. I just want a wee tiny bit at the back, I don't want too much. Where's my other wee? So again, I'm just taking a couple of wee zigzags through here. And I'm just going to make sure they're painted on, and then I'll go down to the other side and I'll show you what I'm doing there as well. Okay, again, I'm just personalising this. I'm just doing what I fancy doing today. So again, no rules. I like things that have not got rules. Level 3 is about no rules. It's about having a look at a hairstyle and having a look at the client's face and see where you want to place that colour. It's all about placement of colour. And you can put a foil in, right? It's what it is what you want is something that's personalised. And I'm going to paint a wee bit on that as well later. I'll just take this just now. Okay, again, my zigzags, love zigzags. Zigzags and triangles, can't beat them. Right, so I'm going to do the zigzag. This is called singles, okay? So what it means is that you're picking out wee single sections in a diagonal, a zigzag pattern, and the reason you're doing it is you don't want to see where it started and where it's finished. So I'm just going to whip the top of these 3 zigzags here. Okay, can you see? Again, this side of the hair is a good bit thicker than the other side of the hair for some reason. I've got a lot more hair here, so these sections can possibly be a bit bigger. But again, I'm not saturating the root at all. I'm blending with my fingers. Okay, and see if I see a wee odd one here, I can just pick it up. Just think I'll put a wee bit of colour in there. And that'll blend it. Again, I'm just merging it with my fingers. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to mix up a wee bit more. So you'll just have to bear with me for a second. One to 1.5 mix with this, or you can do 1 to 2 depending on how thick or thin you like your bleach. I quite like my bleach quite thick. A lot of people like their bleach quite fine, quite thin. I don't, because I think the thinner the bleach, the more seepage you get. My personal opinion. That's not to say that's right, that's just my personal opinion on it. Okay, so I'm doing zigzags here again, through the back. And I'm only putting a wee couple in here. So I'm only doing a wee couple of zigzags through the back here. So I'm just taking a wee point there. You can see, you'll see it better once the colour's on. Right, I'm painting it on, but look, when I'm painting it on, I've actually put a lot on that, so I don't really want as much as that. So I'll just dry my hands a wee bit and I'll use my brush just to take some of that off, my dry brush. Okay, but I still want this saturated hair, but I can leave that line there. I can leave it lying on the hair, there's no problem with that. Again, I'm just going to take this wee point here, tiny wee point. I'm just going to paint it with my brush and merge it with my fingers. This is how you always need to keep wee towels or wee paper towels beside you, right? Just put a wee one in there as well, because that's a nice wee zigzag one. Okay. Merging it in. Okay. Okay, quite a lot there. I'll maybe do another, maybe 2-3 sections here. Again, zigzag it. So I'm zigzagging out. I'm just going to zigzag out here. And then I'm going to zigzag out here. And that gives me a clean section right through. Perfect. Okay. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in between. Right, so I've got another zigzag here. Do you see it? Okay. Right, so I'm going to take my point here. You can see that. Paint it from mid-length to ends. And then just merge it in. This is going to be subtle at the top. This is not going to be in your face. It's just subtle, and what it does is it gives you a nice blend between your dark hair and your balayage. Okay, so I'm taking this point, I'm just going through it, I'm just taking all my wee points. Do you see it? All my wee points. This is a great, honestly great technique for a bob. See if you're doing a bob, oh, magic technique for that. It's really, really good because you can focus on the actual point of the bob coming through the front. So I'm just taking a wee fine one. See, when I'm at a crown, I always take it fine. There's nothing worse than if the wind blows and the hair splits and you've got a big line in the middle of the crown. Oh, it's just not a good look. So I tend to keep it really fine and really, really soft through the crown area. So I'm just continuing round. Again, just very fine. And see if I put too much on, I can just wipe it back off. It's not an issue. But I try to keep it really soft. I don't know if you can see that. If you see it right in at the root, it's a lot softer at the root. Zigzag, I'm going to just take this just a wee tiny bit more. That's better. Again, just travelling round about the head, as thick or as thin as I want. Just think I'll put a bit more on the ends of that. Right, nearly done. And then I'll show you how to do the reverse balayage. Hopefully you have heard the reverse balayage. This is the latest now. There's reverse balayage. This is people that's went too blonde and they want the balayage look, but they want the darker. I'm just going to try and just speed this up a bit, right, so it's done. And I'm just going to zigzag this wee pattern. And zigzag this wee pattern. Right, I'm just going to put this on quickly, guys. Just the exact same again. Saturate the bottom. Mid lens. Taking a couple of wee chunkier ones through the front here because I'm going to do a bit of the reverse balayage. So normally if I had this money piece through the front, I wouldn't be putting really anything that much through here. See, the thing is as well, see with your ends, I'll show you this in a second, right? With your ends you can do with bits as well. So I'm just going to just put a wee bit in here. Right, okay, so what you can do is, see if you want, you can do it with your fingers, right? I like doing this with my fingers. See like any wee bits that you see? If you want a wee bit, just a wee bit lightness through the bottom, just lift it up and do like a wee kind of fine balayage bit through the bottom. Just any bit that you see that you think, oh, do you know what, that's a wee bit dark. Well, that wee bit is just a put a bit of bleach on there, so you can just see, well, that's a wee bit dark here. So you can lift it up with your fingers and just do a wee bit through the ends, and it just gives you a wee overall lightness. You don't need to be too fussy how you're doing it. Right, you can lift it up and just paint some bits through the ends. Just a wee tiny bit, just to get a wee soften through the ends. Good wee tip. Okay, so I'm just putting this through some of the ends here just to get a wee soften. That's all. I don't want it dramatic, it's just a wee soften through the ends. There's a big dark bit right in here, so I'm going to try and put a wee tiny bit up here. There we go, we're done. Okay, so we're now done. I'm just going to wash my hands. Okay, so we're now done, so now we're going to go in to do a bit at the front with your foils. Okay, I'm just going to keep them in there now just to give it a wee bit of heat. Okay, right, so now what you've got is, you've got colour here that would look great against this balayage, but what I'm going to do is just going to show you a couple of, just a wee few in it, how you would do a reverse balayage. Okay, so you would take your section across, okay, pin that up, okay, I'm taking it actually a wee bit thinner than that if I can, yep, and I'm going to use the 671 for the simple reason being it will blend in really well with the colour that's actually on her hair, and also it's got a bit of warmth in it, so it'll not go green. Okay, so when you do a reverse balayage, you can do a couple of things, right? You can do a weave, which I prefer doing, okay? Stay up, you. Okay, so do a weave, and I'm not going to back comb that, okay? So I'm going to put it in under two foils actually, so I'll put one foil here, right up to my root, and I'm going to paint on my dark, okay, but I'm painting that right through my root, okay. I'm just going to fold that up there now. I'm going to take my next one. Again, I just take my wee sections there and I'll put that on. Okay, so I'm going to just paint this wee bit underneath here. I'm going to paint this wee bit instead of putting it on the top. Okay. So this one goes right up to the root. To do this comb, right? So I'm painting this right to the root, and I'm painting it right down. This is a 671 I'm using. Get to a 6, your dark blonde. The 71, your brunette tone, with your grey ash will give you a nice soft tone at the front. It'll be enough for the warmth, but there's not an awful lot of warmth in it, so that it'll not be enough to make it go orange. Okay, so now your next one is where you do something a bit different, right? So you take your section across. So I'm going to take quite a chunky section here. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this section is I'm going to paint this for my root area. Okay, and I'm going to bring it onto my hands, and then all I'm going to do is merge it. So I still want this end slide, the end slide here, so I'm just merging it down. Okay, put my wee colour wrap underneath here if I can get one separated with my glove. Hate working with gloves, but got to work with them when you're working with these colours. Come on. I'm just putting that there. Obviously I would have had a foil in this if it was a client, right? But I'm not too worried because, believe me, she doesn't complain. She's a good client, this one. Okay, put another wee colour wrap on top here. Okay, and then the next one. I'm going to do a weave again. And this is right up to my root as well. Okay, and see with this bit in here, I'm just going to slightly just blend that, just for the root, just slightly, just blend it, okay. I'm going to take these gloves off now because they're actually annoying me. I better know to finish one more section, I suppose. Right, one more section to go. Okay. I'm just going to split this into two here, and I'm going to do, I might actually just put a wee fine baby light, but it's not baby light, it's a baby dark through here. And just leave a wee bit out at the bottom. That under here and just let it sit. Okay, one more wee bit, and that's us done. And now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a wee tiny bit of dark through this root area. Okay, and I'm going to blend it through here, so that's your reverse balayage. So all I'm doing, instead of putting light in, I'm adding dark where the dark should be. Okay. So I'm going to let this develop for a good hour and then I'll come back to you, okay? See you soon.